Hi guys, welcome to our first and only podcast. Today we will be talking about food insecurity on the college campus. But first, we're going to start by introducing ourselves. There's 4 of us here. We are all public health majors. My name is Emily. I am an undergrad at NAU.
Hi, I'm Taylor Tenorio. I'm also an undergrad at NAU.
Hi, I'm Nesha Shen. I'm also a undergrad at NAU, and I'm 21.
I'm Taylor Casper, and I am also an undergrad at NAU and also 21.
All right, so the first question that I have for you guys today, for both of the Taylors, is what did you guys actually think that food insecurity was before actually gaining knowledge about it and actually doing research on the topic?
Honestly, I know this sounds pretty bad, but I thought it was almost like an eating disorder, like being insecure about like certain foods that you're eating because like you didn't want to gain weight. I don't know, that's like at least what I first thought.
Interesting. Other Taylor?
Yeah, I thought it was like being afraid to eat food in like public settings or around people. Like you could only eat food like in an enclosed space alone.
All right, so Nesha, what actually is food insecurity?
Well, Emily, according to Healthy People 2020, food insecurity can be defined as a disruption of food intake or eating patterns due to a lack of money or other resources.
Awesome, thank you for that. Are you guys aware of how many people actually struggle with food insecurity on the college campus?
Well, Emily, according to a study retrieved from the National Student Campaign Against Hunger and Homelessness, their studies have shown that 22% of college students are food insecure, and 30% of community college students are also food insecure.
All right, so as we all know, as a freshman on NAU's campus, it is required that you pay for a meal plan. But as a sophomore or junior, it's not necessarily required. It's kind of up to you as you choose how you want to pay for your food. So that is why we decided to focus our target population on sophomores and juniors living off campus. So I was just wondering what you guys thought a few of the risk factors were for this specific group of people, why they might be food insecure.
Definitely environment. If you live close to a grocery store or close enough to a bus stop to get you to a grocery store, like those things definitely affect getting like food and groceries, things like that.
I definitely agree. I also think another risk factor could be economic stability. That could be whether you have a job, you get help with income from your parents or possibly the government.
And yeah, another one is access to transportation. So if you don't have access to a bus or a car or a bike, then you can't really go to a store and get those groceries. And if you are you don't have money, you're unstable economically, you might not have great access to transportation either. So all 3 of those go hand in hand.
Definitely.
Thank you, I agree with that. So how does food insecurity affect college students?
So students who don't get enough to eat end up getting lower grades, have lower test scores, and have a lower chance of graduating. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but financial aid is actually decreasing, and specifically on NAU campus, tuition rates are rising for incoming freshmen. So that's going to be leaving more students hungry. And we've also gave out an infographic throughout NAU at the union that states like these important facts. Just a little heads up.
Well, Taylor, to continue on to what you were saying, if students are already struggling with the current tuition rates, this leaves students even more vulnerable to struggle with the rising tuition, because since our population are more likely supplying their own food since sophomores and juniors are living off campus.
With the sophomores and juniors living off campus and the increase in tuition rates, this can lead a lot of the students to become housing insecure along with food insecure. The study that was mentioned previously in this podcast found that 46% of students who are food insecure are also housing insecure, which means they don't have set housing. Some of them could be homeless or they could be asking friends to crash on their couch.
So if food insecurity is such a big issue on the college campuses, even NAU's campus, why isn't anything really being done about that?
I think one of the major reasons for that is because of stigma. A lot of times there is a stigma associated with food insecurity, especially for college students, whether that be economically, like finances, if they have money to pay for food, let alone their housing and their tuition. Also, physical stigma. They might have stigma about their weight already, let alone being food insecure and needing to go get help. Also, a social stigma. People might be afraid of their peers knowing that they need help, especially when your parents can't provide the extra money. Studies have found that although food banks are free, the hidden cost is guilt and shame for a lot of students.
I definitely agree. Like, stigma has a huge part. Most of the time, at least like people who I know, they assume that because I go to a 4-year university that I must have a lot of money just because tuition, living on campus, living within Flagstaff is very expensive. So they just assume that like I am not struggling, but you know, lots of 4-year students struggle with food insecurity, and not just that, but on NAU's campus, not a lot of people really know about resources to get help. Definitely, at Louis Cupboard, for instance, like only a couple hundred students actually use Louis Cupboard out of all of the undergrad, which is insane.
Yeah, I think that's pretty crazy. And a lot of students, I feel like, are very embarrassed to be food insecure because that's not something that you want to talk about. Like, it's not something to brag about. It's not what you want all of your friends knowing. So that's, I think, a lot of people tend to hide behind that fact of being food insecure.
And out of 27 undergrad, as according to the NEU enrollment for 2017 and 2018, the fact that Louis Cupboard, which is a resource for people who are food insecure, which we'll go into more about that later, the fact that only a couple hundred are using that resource, it shows that there's a lot of students who could be struggling with food insecurity but not getting any help.
And what is the population on NU's campus?
As for 2017-18, their undergrad had 27,084 students.
Wow, that's crazy. And only like a couple hundred students are actually taking advantage of that. So
I know that when I experienced food insecurity, a really big stigma was that I was freeloading because I was getting these free boxes of food. And I think that this could be why Louis Cupboard is not being used to its full potential because people don't want that added stigma. But it's not freeloading, you're just using your resources that are handed to you to help you get by. I think that what Nesha said earlier about the hidden cost and being guilt and shame is really true when it comes to using like food boxes, but it shouldn't be. It should just be an accepted thing.
And I feel like it's food insecurity is so common, but like not a lot of people realize they are food insecure. I have a bunch of friends, including myself. It's like I don't get paid until Friday, and it's Tuesday, and all I have in my fridge is like ranch, a thing of bread, and some cereal. Like, that's not like gonna get me through the week. I mean, yeah, I guess I could like snack on toast all week, but like that's technically being food insecure.
Yeah, living paycheck to paycheck definitely makes it you struggle because you have to try to like budget what you're gonna spend your money on, but at the same time you want to try to like get foods that won't like expire or go bad. You want to be able to eat it.
right. And Louis Cupboard is kind of the same way where they provide all of these foods for students that are like non-perishables that are going to last them, but they're not necessarily healthy. So that's also another hard part, but thank you guys for sharing that. All right, so just to kind of wrap things up, what are some of the resources on NAU's campus that students can use?
Well, one for transportation, they can do a yellow bike rental, which is for 7 days, and you can rent them out afterwards, after that free trial, for only a small fee. You get a lock, key, and a helmet. Another resource is Mountain Link, which runs through campus, and students can use Route 10 by showing their ID to go to local stores around NAU, or they can purchase an extra bus pass for traveling to other places that Route 10 doesn't travel to.
And then Louis Cupboard, which we've talked about already, is another resource that students can use that suffer from food insecurity. They can either walk into the Union Fieldhouse in room 241, which is where it's located, or they can apply online to get a food box set up for them. The next two distribution dates are April 12th and April 26th, and those are the last two for this semester.
Okay, so those are the resources. Make sure you go ahead and go onto our Instagram, Food for Jocks. Our podcast will be linked there, as well as our infographic and fact sheet. Go ahead and like, comment, give us a follow, and let us know what you think. Thanks for listening.